Today we're going to take a look at the Scooby-Doo and the Mystery of the Castle plug-and-play from Jakks Pacific that was released in 2006. Scooby-Doo has had quite a few video game adaptations over the years, starting with Maze Chase on the Intellivision all the way back in 1983, and most recently with 2010's Scooby-Doo in the Spooky Swamp. He even had his own team pack for the 2015's LEGO Dimensions that included Shaggy, the Mystery Machine, and a Scooby Snack. If you've had a computer, console, or handheld at some point in your life over the past 40 years, there's a good chance that a Scooby-Doo game was somewhere in its library. This time we have a controller designed to resemble the Mystery Machine. I've mentioned in a previous video that Jakks Pacific was a toy company before dealing with video games, and it shows. The attention to detail on it is actually pretty impressive. The mold, paint, and stickers are all spot on. I'll compare it here to the Funko Dorbs version as well as a drawing. The sticker on the front shows the windshield view of Fred, Daphne, Velma, and Shaggy. The driver's side window sticker shows them looking out of it, and the passenger side window shows the back of their heads, as they're currently looking in the other direction. I would have thought that the same sticker would be used for both sides to save a couple pennies, but nope, they went all the way with it. The designs across all three stickers don't perfectly line up, but I'm so impressed they even attempted it that I'll let it slide. This time. There's an on-off switch in the front of the van as well as a circular pause button built into where the spare tire would be located. A single action button is placed on the roof of the van, and in front of it is a green translucent joystick in the shape of a ghost. It might be a bit hard to make out the design, but turn the lights off and it glows. The joystick feels a bit loose on mine, but it doesn't seem to impact the games much. The audio is mono, which is all too common with Jakks plug-and-plays. It doesn't affect all of them, but any with stereo outputs are in the minority. This is not the most comfortable controller ever, mainly due to being a bit on the bulky side, and Scooby-Doo is hanging out the back of the window, which can get in the way of your grip sometimes. But after a little while, you'll get used to it. The clean square design and size of the Atari 2600 controller might be the sweet spot for single-hand joysticks, but I think it's worth being a bit on the larger side for the design aesthetic. Scooby-Doo and the Mystery of the Castle consists of 5 games with 5 levels in each that get continually more difficult as you advance. You can choose between easy and hard modes. The games can be played in any order, and they all begin with an instructional introduction. When played beginning to end, it's designed to present like an episode of the TV show. The games are set up as chapters, automatically roll into the next one, and includes images in between to bridge them together. Using silent images might be a bit on the crude side, but it does accomplish what it sets out to do. There's also a scoreboard that will save your score after each chapter, and it will stick around until you clear the data from the options menu. Your health and lives are in the top left corner of the screen, timer is in the top middle, and your score in the top right. Level progress is in the bottom left, items are in the bottom middle, and your Scooby Snack count is in the bottom right. A time will flash in the beginning of each level. If you can complete the level in less time, you'll get the difference back in points. There's no penalty for taking more time, you just won't get any bonus. Pick up 25 Scooby Snacks and you'll get an extra life. The snacks do carry over from level to level as well as across the games. So if you end Chapter 2 with 24 snacks, you'll begin Chapter 3 with them. One problem with all the games is that there's not really any post-hit invincibility. If you're not careful, it's very easy for one enemy or a hazard to take all of your health.
Chapter 1. The Race to Fonte Castello. Pick up team members in the Mystery Machine and drive to Fonte Castello. Avoid obstacles and frightening creatures on the wild journey. Use banana peels against chasing cars, the headlights to scare off some enemies, and find rocket turbo power-ups to boost your speed.
Race to Fonte Castello puts you in control of the Mystery Machine. There are constantly enemies, other drivers, and hazards on the road which will do damage to the van. The Mystery Machine can avoid everything pretty well, and the ramps will appear to help you steer clear of some of the threats on the road. If you have any control issues, it's probably due to the stick being a bit loose. There's 4 pickups that you can find in the levels: a rocket, which gives you a burst of speed, a banana, which can be thrown out the back in order to make the car behind you wipe out, a light bulb, which will turn your headlights on and make ghosts move out of your way, and if you take enough damage, a wrench will randomly appear somewhere on the road to give you some health back. The way this game works is such that pickups will only spawn when they're able to be used, so if you have full health, you'll never see a wrench, and if you have any of the upgrades currently on the van, then another won't spawn until that one is used. Besides the wrench, I'll tell you right now, the banana is the most important item that you can grab. The headlights do work well, but still aren't worth giving up a banana for, and the rocket is a good idea, but due to the increased traffic, enemies, and road hazards in later levels, it makes you go way too fast. There really just isn't enough time or real estate to react and use it effectively. You can hold back to slow yourself down and negate the rapid speed increase, but I swear I crash 9 out of 10 times that I use it.
Chapter 2. The River of Frights. Use the logs, stones, and sometimes alligators to move upstream on the river. Don't let the night reach you and beware the animals. Scooby-Doo will help you from the riverside. Use banana peels against the night and storks to confuse the frogs.
Remember crossing the water in Frogger? Well, River of Frights is pretty much an expanded version of that shown from an isometric angle. Since the river is constantly flowing to the left, you have to keep pushing forward and not fall behind. Some logs have frogs on them that will attack you, and others are alligators that will damage you if you jump directly into their mouth or stay on them for too long. Luckily, you can jump up, down, forwards, backwards, and diagonally when you're going the distance. Run out of health, get pushed all the way to the left, or let the night catch up to you and you're done for. Scooby is on the sidelines in this one, trying to help you out by throwing upgrades to you. They include an ice cream and cookie to replenish your health, a banana to trip the night, and a stork to confuse the frogs. All of the sound effects in the games are done well. However, in this one, Scooby-Doo will not stop making noise. Every time he throws you an item, he's doing it, and let me tell you, it gets really old really quick.
Chapter 3. Searching the Castle. Search the castle for mysteries, then find the way out. When a creature is nearby, you can hide behind furniture, barrels, and other objects. Jump into Shaggy's arms to avoid spiders and rats. Duck if a bat flies too close.
The selling point of this one is that you can hide behind objects when enemies are coming towards you. The health bar can be misleading because the smaller enemies will only take a portion of it when they hit you, but the larger enemies will take it all. Chapter 3 easily has my favorite animations in the entire game. Crouch to dodge bats, run behind objects to hide from mid-tier enemies, and jump into Shaggy's arms to avoid taking damage from rats and spiders on the floor. The A button is used to automatically climb or descend ladders instead of having to press up or down to do so. It controls a lot smoother, feels more exact, and means you won't accidentally get on one when you're just walking around or dodging enemies. However, sometimes there are hideable objects placed right next to them, and since the two action boxes are so close together, the wrong one can easily be picked. Hiding behind objects can be done from the left or right, depending on which side you are on when you want to hide. Once you're safely behind one, you can stay there as long as you want to, or press left or right to come back into the foreground from that direction. You are still vulnerable to taking damage even when the characters are going through the hiding animation, and sometimes it can be difficult to tell exactly where the dividing line of where one side ends and the other begins.
Chapter 4. The Mysterious Doors. Find a way through the doors and avoid the scary creatures. The skeleton key will lock any door for a while, and the crystal ball will show you any door's destination. Use the mini-map to help find the exit.
The Mysterious Doors is the puzzle game of the bunch. There's always one. This one starts very easy but gets complicated rather quickly. There's no health bar this time, so get hit once and you lose a life. Go into a door and it will either transport you nowhere or to another door of the same color somewhere else. If there are enemies in front of the door that you're coming out of, you will be held inside until the coast is clear, so you don't have to worry about cheap deaths from warping. Navigate your way through the floors to the bottom and find the exit. It's clearly marked by the open wall on the bottom floor on the right side. In place of your progress bar, you have a map. It shows Scooby, the floors, the doors, the exit, and the enemies. Later on, it will have to scroll due to having so many floors. It can be misleading, so just keep that in mind when you're trying to use it to navigate. There are two items that can be picked up in this game, a skeleton key and a crystal ball, both of which are useful. The key will lock a door for a limited amount of time so that it can't be used. Enemies can't go through it, and you can't either. The crystal ball will show you which door connects to the one you're using it on. The game never gets out of hand, but it can become difficult to remember which doors lead where. You can't hide behind anything and you can't stun or take out enemies, so when you get stuck between an enemy and a wall, there's nothing you can do but take the hit and lose a life. They already programmed the hiding function into searching the castle, so why isn't it here as well?
The Dungeons of Fontecchio. Find the way back to Scooby-Doo through the dungeons. Locate keys to open the exit gates. Use traps against ghosts, but watch your step or Shaggy may be trapped. Warning, the night may be very close. The electromagnet can be turned on by the 4 levers nearby. It will turn off automatically after 3 seconds.
As a whole, this might be my least favorite game here, but the last level could be my favorite part of the entire collection. You walk around the dungeon as Shaggy, collecting keys and avoiding enemies and traps on the floor. At first there's only 1 key to find, but by the end you'll be looking for 3. One will open the exit, and the others will open shortcuts and other gates. You do have to collect all of them to complete the level though. There's no health bar in this one either, so make one mistake and you're dead. You do have a much bigger field to move around in compared to the area in the Mysterious Doors, and if you've collected some keys you can use the gates to put space in between you and the enemies. The controls can be a bit squirrely in the dungeons. Sometimes you'll be pushing right and it'll bring you down instead. I get that there's some hidden path that's doing this, but when you're trying to get away from something, it's little things like this that'll get you killed. Switches are placed next to floor traps. When they're in the up position, the trap will transition between open and closed, and when they're down, they'll stay closed. The traps can be used to take out the enemies, but you have to keep an eye on them because you can easily fall in too. The final level has an electromagnet that can be powered by hitting the 4 switches around it and will stay on for 3 seconds. Set everything up so that the knight is positioned under the magnet when you flip the last switch and you'll catch him, ending the chapter and the game. I have to say I wasn't expecting a final level like this. I figured you would just do the same thing as the previous ones and then it would be wrapped up through pictures. But they let you catch the knight yourself and concludes just like the show would. So do I recommend Scooby-Doo and the Mystery of the Castle? Yeah, definitely. Is it the best one we've seen so far? No, I think that still belongs to the Amazing Spider-Man and Villain Roundup. There's a nice set of games here that increase in difficulty as you make your way through them, and if you find them to still be too easy, you can always try them on hard. If I had to have anything changed, I'd say to put some post-hit invincibility in all of the games, have Scooby make noise 1/5 of the time in Chapter 2, remove being able to take damage during the hiding animations in Chapter 3, add the hiding ability into Chapter 4, and tighten up some of the hitboxes and action areas. Nothing too extreme, just things that would smooth out the games. I mentioned in the review of Extreme Ghostbusters Code Ecto-1 that between the driving to the location, making your way through it, and then taking out the boss felt like an actual adventure as a Ghostbuster. Take out any one of the 3 pieces and that feeling would go with it. When you finish Scooby-Doo, there's a congratulations screen, and at that point I was ready to sit back and watch the credits roll to tie up the episode of The Mystery of the Castle. But they didn't. At that exact moment, the whole impression that the game created for me fell apart. Sure, there's an option to play the credits from there, but the bubble had already burst. They did so well just to trip right before the finish line. Next time on Plug and Play and Review, we're going to take a look at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Battle for the City. Stay nerdy. I'm out.
Getting your nerd on, getting your nerd on, getting your nerd on.
I got a raging nerd on.